Usually when we think about critical infrastructure failing, there's this expectation of physical obviousness.
Right. Yeah. Like it's a spectacle.
Exactly. Think about a bridge, right?
Yeah.
If the structural engineering failure is happening on a suspension bridge, you generally see the warning signs. You see the stress fractures in the concrete. You can literally hear the steel groaning under the tension.
Oh, absolutely. The cables snap. The danger is, macro scale, and it is right there in front of you.
Right. But then you shift your focus to massive natural gas transmission networks. We are talking about thousands upon thousands of miles of high-pressure steel pipelines stretching across continents buried deep underground.
Yeah, and suddenly that macro scale visibility is completely gone.
It's gone. We're looking at a diagnostic landscape that is, for all intents and purposes, entirely invisible. An information leak, a microscopic physical rupture, or, I don't know, a coordinated outside cyber attack manipulating the pressure valves. It could be happening right beneath our feet. To the naked eye standing above ground, a steel pipe just looks like a steel pipe.
Which is, the absolute definition of an invisible threat. And it's an incredibly complex one to manage because the operators managing these networks are essentially flying blind without advanced telemetry.
Flying blind. Which brings us to the core mission for today's deep dive. We're going to explore exactly how artificial intelligence and machine learning are being deployed to monitor these massive, invisible natural gas pipelines.
Turning a massive flood of chaotic data into a highly precise shield against leaks, ruptures, and attacks.
Precisely. And the grounding material for our conversation today is this really fascinating 2019 research paper from the periodicals of Engineering and Natural Sciences.
It's an incredibly thorough piece of work.
It really is. It's authored by Ali Hassan Dakil, Wafa Hassan Dakil, and Haider Hadi Abbas. And they're out of the University of Babylon and Al Mansour University College in Iraq.
Yeah, the researchers set up a really compelling premise right out of the gate. They looked at historical rupture data from gas transmission operators and basically asked a fundamental operational question.
Which was?
Can machine learning cut through the sheer noise of pipeline operations to provide a practical, cost-effective, and highly accurate solution for intrusion detection?
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because securing a pipeline sounds deceptively simple on paper, right? You slap some sensors on a pipe, you measure what volume goes in at point A, and you measure what volume comes out at point B.
Yeah, miles down the line.
Right. And if the numbers don't match, you obviously have a leak.
In theory, sure.
But natural gas doesn't behave the way we intuitively think it should. I want you, the listener, to just imagine for a second the reality of being a pipeline controller. You're sitting in a centralized control room, staring at a massive bank of screens, and suddenly a dozen different alarms start blaring.
It's pure chaos. Pressure is dropping in one sector, flow rates are spiking in another.
And without the right analytics, you have no idea if you are looking at a catastrophic system failure, a cyber intrusion, or, just a normal Tuesday morning shift in municipal gas demand.
Right. And to really understand why that controller is sitting in the dark despite having all those sensors, we have to look closely at the underlying physics of natural gas.
Because it's completely different from liquids.
Entirely different. Why is this fundamentally so much harder than monitoring a liquid pipeline carrying water or crude oil? The core difficulty originates from a single, unavoidable physical property, which is compressibility.
Right. So let's visualize this physics problem. Tracking a liquid, like crude oil, through a pipeline is essentially like pushing a solid block of ice through a tube.
That's a great way to think about it.
Because liquids are generally incompressible under normal pipeline conditions.
Yeah.
It's a fixed, rigid volume. If you push an inch of that solid block in one end, an inch of that block is forced out the other end almost instantaneously. The math is highly linear.
Exactly. The volume balance is strictly maintained. The input mathematically mirrors the output in real time.
But tracking natural gas requires a completely different mental model. It's not a block of ice at all. It's more like taking a massive, highly elastic sponge and trying to force it through a tube.
Right, because it's gas.
Yeah. As it moves, the gas compresses, it expands, the density shifts. The pressure fluctuates wildly depending on the ambient temperature of the soil around the pipe or the changing diameter of the network infrastructure.
Even the elevation changes of the terrain play a massive role.
Exactly. You can push a massive volume of gas into the upstream valve, But because it compresses like that giant sponge absorbing the pressure, you might not see that corresponding volume exit the downstream valve for quite a while.
And that sponge effect, the line pack, as it's known in the industry, is exactly why the legacy systems utilized for liquid pipelines fail catastrophically when applied to gas networks.
They just break down.
Completely. The researchers highlight that typical computational pipeline monitoring systems, or CPMs, rely heavily on simple volume balance equations. If you apply a CPM to a pressurized natural gas network, it is entirely ineffective.
Because the sponge is constantly changing size.
Right. The natural compression and expansion of the gas triggers constant volume mismatches. It renders the system practically useless.
So if the liquid CPM systems are out, what is the alternative? How has the industry historically handled this highly elastic, compressible environment?
Well, the traditional high-end solution involves real-time transient models, or RTTMs.
Our TTMs, okay.
Yeah. These are incredibly complex mathematical models that attempt to simulate the fluid dynamics, thermodynamics, and heat transfer of the gas inside the pipe.
That sounds intense.
It is. And while they are technically capable of providing internal-based leak detection, they require a staggering engineering effort to configure and maintain. Keep in mind, gas transmission networks are not just straight lines.
Right, they're everywhere.
They are highly interconnected webs of varying pipe sizes, compressor stations, and delivery points that are constantly changing. Maintaining an accurate mathematical simulation of all that dynamic plumbing requires massive computational and human resources.
So because of that huge overhead, a vast portion of the industry still relies heavily on standard SCADA systems.
Correct.
And for the listener, SCADA stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. These are the centralized systems pulling telemetry from all the remote field sensors.
Yes. And within these SCADA setups, operators rely on rate of change alarms, or ROC alarms, to notify the human controller of sudden deviations in pressure and flow.
Okay, but thinking back to your sponge analogy,
Huh.
because gas pressure is always naturally fluctuating as the network breathes, these ROC alarms must be incredibly noisy.
Oh, they are. They're notoriously noisy. The text notes that uncertainties in the telemetry, things like varied poll times from remote sensors, fast scanning cycles, and basic data latency over long-distance communication networks.
Yeah.
It all means these simple threshold alarms are triggering constantly, even during completely normal, safe operations.
Wow, which introduces a massive human factors engineering problem.
Mm.
You're basically building a system that trains the operator to ignore it.
What's fascinating here is the psychological toll and the severe operational risk created by that systemic noise. It's a well-documented phenomenon known as alarm fatigue.
I can totally see that. It's like a car alarm going off in the city. You just tune it out.
Exactly. When traditional SCADA ROC alarms generate a relentless stream of false positive nuisance alarms due to the natural elasticity of the gas, human controllers undergo cognitive desensitization.
They just stop caring.
They eventually start acknowledging and clearing alarms purely out of muscle memory. So when a genuine localized rupture or a stealthy cyber attack actually occurs, the critical warning is entirely lost in the operational noise.
Wow. So the inherent physics of gas practically demands a radically different mathematical approach to filter out that noise,
Absolutely.
right? Which shifts the focus to identifying the actual definitive signature of an attack. Because if a single ROC alarm going off is meaningless noise, the industry realized they can't rely on isolated data points.
No, they can't.
They have to look for a multivariable sequence. They need to identify a very specific pattern of simultaneous alarms to confirm a real intrusion.
Exactly. They transition from monitoring individual thresholds to a complex pattern of alarms concept.
What does that look like in practice?
Well, whether a pipeline experiences a physical rupture, like an excavator hitting the line, or an outside attacker artificially manipulating the network logic to bleed off pressure, the physics dictates a specific signature.
Okay, what's the signature?
The upstream pressure suddenly drops, the upstream flow rate increases to fill the sudden void, and simultaneously the downstream flow rate drops because the gas is escaping before it reaches the destination.
Okay, so it's a trinity of distinct failures happening in concert.
Yeah.
Upstream pressure down, upstream flow up, downstream flow down.
Yes. And when those three specific variables trigger in a tight temporal window, it represents the definitive physical signature of a network intrusion.
Okay, wait, let me push back here for a second. I'm stuck on something. If the attack signature is literally just those three specific variables, pressure down, flow up, downstream down, why do we even need artificial intelligence or machine learning?
I see where you're going.
Right. Like, why can't a human just look at three dials? Or better yet, a simple, hard-coded if-then logic script in the SCADA software could just trigger a master alarm if those three specific conditions are met simultaneously.
It's a completely logical assumption, it really is. But the breakdown happens when you introduce the sheer scale and spatial complexity of modern transmission grids. It is never just three isolated dials sitting neatly next to each other.
Right. It's not a tiny lab experiment.
Far from it. We are talking about massive, geographically dispersed networks with hundreds of inputs, automated bypassing, bidirectional backfeeding, and localized system-specific conditions.
Okay, that complicates things.
Immensely. The pattern of alarms concept isn't just looking at one localized 50-foot section of a pipe. It's about executing a composite prediction over hundreds of miles of infrastructure.
Ah, so the data isn't arriving cleanly or simultaneously?
Not at all. If a rupture happens 50 miles away from the downstream sensor, the downstream flow won't drop instantly because of that sponge-like compressibility we talked about earlier.
Right. The sponge absorbs the impact first.
Exactly. The line pack takes time to bleed out. Furthermore, human observation and simple logic scripts are usually tied to fixed time intervals. But the research points out that evaluating this realistically requires an algorithm that provides a much more dynamic rate of change evaluation.
How does that work?
Instead of using a rigid fixed time, it relies on a configurable number of samples to continuously evaluate the rate of change. It is processing a highly complex, time-delayed pattern of measurement responses that basic if-then logic simply cannot synthesize accurately across a massive grid.
Wow. Which explains why the researchers note that to even track these variables effectively, the industry has to undergo severe system modernization.
Oh, without a doubt.
You can't run advanced composite predictions on legacy SCADA systems that are already choking on basic data latency. The paper specifically highlights Honeywell's Experian Process Knowledge System as a prime example of this necessary industry migration.
Yeah, the paper delves into how modernization solutions like Experian are fundamental to enabling these advanced analytics.
So what are they actually doing under the hood?
Well, when legacy architecture becomes a bottleneck, operators implement what Honeywell terms a lean automation methodology. They utilize advanced infrastructure concepts, specifically cloud engineering, universal channel technology, and virtualization.
Okay, let's break down those concepts because they sound great in a corporate brochure, but how do they actually solve the latency and processing bottlenecks on a gas pipeline?
Fair question. Let's start with universal channel technology. In a legacy setup, a physical sensor in the field is hardwired to a specific inflexible channel in the control room.
So it's a physical hard-coded link.
Exactly. If you want to change how that data is processed or add new analytics, it requires physical reengineering and wiring changes, which is incredibly slow and expensive.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It is, but universal channel technology decouples the physical hardware from the software configuration. You can instantly reconfigure how the data from any remote sensor is handled entirely via software.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, allowing the system to easily ingest the complex, high-speed telemetry needed for pattern recognition.
That makes total sense.
And
And virtualization.
virtualization addresses the massive processing overhead. Legacy systems get bogged down trying to run complex models while simultaneously managing live pipeline operations.
Because the computer's just trying to do too much at once.
Right. So virtualization allows engineers to create highly accurate digital twins of the control room servers and infrastructure.
Digital twins. Okay.
They can run, test, and process these massive data streams on virtual servers off-site or in the cloud, entirely separate from the physical control room's critical hardware. This ensures the live operating environment doesn't crash under the weight of the new analytics.
So they're essentially building a highly flexible, high-capacity digital highway that can actually handle the massive data influx required for machine learning.
Precisely.
And the researchers highlight that moving this automation off the critical project path can achieve up to 30% capital savings, which is huge for infrastructure projects.
Massive saving.
Okay, so the modernized arena is built, the digital highway is clear. Let's look at how the researchers from Iraq utilize this capability to run their experiment. Because here's where it gets really interesting.
Yes, the experiment itself is fascinating.
They sourced a data set of real, confidential pipeline attack telemetry provided by a researcher named Tommy Morris, and they set up a proving ground for 3 different AI architectures to see which could best interpret these complex signatures.
The experimental parameters were highly controlled and focused. They utilized a dataset consisting of 12 distinct operational inputs. Things like pressure readings, flow rates, and valve statuses, covering a continuous 30-minute time interval.
And how often did that update?
This telemetry updated once every minute.
Okay, and the timeline of that 30-minute block is the crucial testing element here. The first 7 minutes of the data represented normal, safe operations, establishing the baseline behavior of the gas.
Right, the baseline.
Then the attack event occurs, and the remaining 23 minutes represent the post-attack environment as the pressure drops and the slow rates shift across the network.
But before the algorithms could even touch the data, the researchers had to address the reality of pipeline telemetry, which is that raw field data is inherently messy.
Because real life is messy.
Exactly, so they had to execute rigorous data cleaning. They stripped out the anomalous data points, specifically zero values, frozen inputs, and duplicated features.
Which happen all the time in the real world due to, sensor drift, momentary network dropouts, or communication hardware glitches. You have to give the AI a clean slate, otherwise it learns the wrong patterns.
Right, garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. So they executed this entire cleaning and testing environment using a software platform called MATLAB R2019A. So the data is prepped. Let's look at the 3 machine learning architectures they tested.
Okay, the first architecture they tested was a hybrid of decision tree and random forest algorithms.
Okay, so a decision tree essentially approaches the data by playing a highly advanced game of 20 questions.
That's a good way to put it.
It uses recursive partitioning. You have a root node at the top, internal nodes that evaluate the telemetry variables, and leaf nodes at the bottom that classify the outcome. It looks at the data and asks, is the upstream pressure dropping past X threshold? Yes. Is the downstream flow correspondingly dropping? No.
Right, it maps out these continuous branches of logic to reach a conclusion.
And the random forest component.
That is what makes it robust. A single decision tree can easily fall into the trap of overfitting, where it becomes too hyper-focused on the quirks of the specific training data and fails to recognize variations in the real world.
Oh, so it memorizes the test, but fails the actual class.
Perfect analogy. Random forest mitigates this by generating a multitude of uncorrelated decision trees. It essentially asks an entire forest of independent trees to evaluate the data paths and then aggregates their predictions to produce a highly generalized, accurate result.
Amazing. The second architecture tested was neural networks. Now, obviously, these are structurally inspired by biological brains, but in the context of this pipeline data, they operate entirely differently than a decision tree.
Very differently.
They aren't just following rigid logic branches. Neural networks are looking at the data through hidden layers. You have the input layer receiving the 12 telemetry variables and an output layer delivering the verdict. But in between, for this specific experiment, the researchers utilized 2 to 3 hidden layers with 20 units per hidden layer.
And the power of the neural network here is its ability to map nonlinear relationships.
Nonlinear.
Yeah, instead of just looking at raw pressure drops, the units in those hidden layers are continuously weighting and reweighting the complex mathematical relationships between those 12 distinct inputs across 50 intensive training rounds.
Okay, I see.
It's searching for deep, non-obvious correlations that define the attack signature, even when the data is messy or time-delayed.
Okay, and finally, the third architecture was the K-nearest neighbor algorithm, commonly referred to as KNN.
Yes.
This relies heavily on spatial proximity in multidimensional space. It maps the data points based on their features.
Right.
So if a specific cluster of data points exhibits the characteristics of a pipeline attack, and a new unclassified data point lands right in the middle of that cluster, meaning it hangs out with the attack data mathematically, KNN classifies it as an attack.
Exactly. And the researchers tested K values of 1, 3, and 5 to determine the optimal grouping size for accuracy.
So 20 questions, brain cells, and hanging out with the wrong crowd. That's our 3 contenders.
That is an excellent summary. But if we connect this to the bigger picture of SCADA operations, before these algorithms could output a final accuracy score, the researchers had to address a fundamental operational hurdle.
Oh, which was?
Translating probabilistic data into actionable binary data.
Oh, which is the core of solving the alarm fatigue problem we talked about earlier.
Exactly. An algorithm might analyze the telemetry and output a probabilistic statement. Based on current flow rates, there is a 72% probability that a rupture has occurred.
But a human controller can't effectively manage a network based on continuous percentages.
No, they can't. They need a binary outcome, alarm on or alarm off. So the researchers had to define a specific cutoff threshold.
And I imagine tuning that threshold is really tricky.
The critical challenge is tuning that threshold. If you set the threshold too low, say 40%, you catch every potential leak, but you recreate the exact storm of false positives and alarm fatigue you were trying to eliminate.
Right, and if you go too high,
If you set it too high at 95%, you eliminate false positives, but you risk entirely missing a stealthy, slow bleed cyber attack. Setting that mathematical boundary was essential for calculating the true operational accuracy of each architecture.
okay, the methodology is set. The data flows through the decision tree forest, the neural network hidden layers, and the k-nearest neighbor's spatial groupings. How do they actually perform?
The results were highly definitive. The decision tree and random forest combination performed admirably, achieving an intrusion classification accuracy of 88.14%.
Okay, 88.14%, a solid baseline. How did the neural network handle the nonlinear weighting?
It performed almost identically, coming in at an 87.05% detection accuracy.
Okay, so both are vastly superior to human observation, but they still leave a margin for error.
They do. The clear victor, however, outperforming the others by a substantial margin, was the k-nearest neighbor algorithm.
The hanging out algorithm.
Hanging out algorithm, KNN achieved an astonishing 97.60% detection accuracy.
97.60%. That is a staggering leap in precision.
It really is. It proves that KNN is exceptionally well suited for recognizing continuous data stream anomalies where the features have clear spatial groupings.
Like a grid of sensors spread across a physical pipeline.
Precisely. Now, it is important to note that the researchers observed all three algorithms did successfully recognize the primary attack event, largely because the specific dataset featured a simultaneous pressure drop across all inputs.
So the core event was highly visible to the math, regardless.
Right, making it highly visible. But the 97.60% accuracy of the KNN ensures that the subtle pre-indicators and complex edge cases are not missed by a fatigued human operator.
That makes total sense. So with that win, where do we go from here?
Well, the researchers didn't conclude the paper simply by crowning KNN the winner. They translated this high accuracy into three critical recommendations for overhauling operational flow in the pipeline industry.
Let's hear them.
The first major recommendation targets the data ingestion phase. Currently, operators often have to manually configure the trends for each input dataset to extract actionable features for their analytics.
That sounds incredibly tedious.
It is. The study emphatically recommends fully automating trend data extraction, completely removing the human bottleneck from the initial data processing.
Which speeds up the entire pipeline of analysis.
Yeah.
You can't have a lightning-fast AI waiting on slow manual data entry.
Exactly. The second recommendation addresses the underlying code efficiency. During the experiment, the application utilized separate configurations for all three algorithms.
Which caused some clashing.
Yeah, it resulted in certain data points being unnecessarily duplicated within the processing system. They strongly advise streamlining the code to eliminate duplicated features, which drastically reduces the computational load and increases the real-time processing speed for detecting an intrusion.
Okay, clean up the code. And the final recommendation. I'm guessing this one is the most impactful for the operator sitting in that control room.
Without a doubt. The researchers advocate for the implementation of predictive early warning alarms.
Predictive.
Yes. As we discussed, because of the vast distances and the compressibility of the gas, waiting for the downstream flow to drop fully could take minutes or longer.
And by that time, a catastrophic volume of gas has already been released upstream.
Exactly. Because machine learning models like KNN can detect the subtle, localized deviations instantly, the system can trigger an early warning alert based on a partial signature.
Oh, like before all the logical downstream conditions are even met?
Precisely. This transitions the controller from a purely reactive posture to a highly proactive one.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, navigating a world increasingly run by complex data? Why does the 97.6% accuracy of a KNN algorithm on a natural gas pipeline actually matter to your daily life?
It's a fair question.
Because this research definitively proves that artificial intelligence can serve as an automatic, highly sensitive, and completely invisible shield over our most critical infrastructure.
Absolutely.
It takes the overwhelming burden of monitoring a chaotic, hyperelastic, sponge-like physics problem entirely off the shoulders of cognitively exhausted human beings. It intercepts information leaks, physical ruptures, and cyber manipulation long before they escalate into headline-making disasters.
The ultimate takeaway of this study is a testament to the power of targeted machine learning. It demonstrates that AI can take an incredibly messy, noisy data set, the exact kind of telemetry that causes legacy SCADA systems to bombard controllers with false positives, and refine it into a remarkably precise detection tool.
A real paradigm shift.
It is. The authors specifically note that replacing rigid manual clamping methods, where operators try to force dynamic gas pressures into artificially rigid operating envelopes, with adaptive machine learning vastly improves operational reliability.
Because the AI natively understands the dynamic nature of the gas.
Right. It recognizes genuine malicious deviations without triggering that crippling alarm fatigue.
It is a phenomenal intersection of advanced mathematics and vital real-world physics. To summarize the journey we've taken today, we started by exploring the highly compressible, squishy nature of natural gas and why it breaks traditional volume balance monitoring,
The sponge analogy.
the sponge. We examined the severe operational risks of alarm fatigue caused by legacy SCADA and simplistic rate of change alarms. We looked at how modernized architectures like Honeywell's virtualization and universal channel tech clear the path for advanced analytics.
Which paved the way for the experiment.
Exactly. And finally, we watched the k-nearest neighbor algorithm achieve near-perfect accuracy, cutting through the noise to isolate the exact, undeniable signature of a pipeline attack.
It serves as a masterclass in deploying algorithmic pattern recognition to solve a profound physical vulnerability.
It really does. As we wrap up today's deep dive, I want you to reflect on the concept of noisy alarms in your own daily life. Think about the overwhelming volume of your overflowing inboxes, the relentless buzz of push notifications, the endless chaotic stream of data constantly competing for your attention.
It's a lot for anyone to handle.
It is. We are all suffering from our own personal localized version of alarm fatigue. Now just imagine if you had a personalized k-nearest neighbor algorithm quietly running in the background of your life.
That would be amazing.
An invisible, highly accurate shield meticulously tuned to filter out all that daily noise, suppress the meaningless false positives, and only present you with the genuine ruptures or true emergencies that actually require your human intervention.
It's a really compelling parallel, and it leaves us with a vital question to consider as we increasingly integrate these technologies into our environment.
What's that?
Well, if machine learning architectures like KNN can be trained to detect invisible, complex physical attacks purely by analyzing subtle, multidimensional patterns in pressure and time,
Yeah.
what other invisible infrastructures surrounding us within our smart cities, our digital supply chains, or even our personal biological health are currently generating a massive amount of unexamined noise, just waiting for the right algorithm to translate it into a crystal clear, life-saving warning signal.
Now that is absolutely something to chew on. Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration today. Keep questioning the invisible structures around you. Keep looking for the signal and the noise, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.